A side job. I didn't come to the city for a better life. I came here because my old one had already collapsed. A few weeks ago, I left a small, great town somewhere in the endless spread of our country. I arrived in St. Petersburg with almost nothing in my pockets. No friends, no job, no proper education, and mostly, importantly, no desire to look my family or old acquaintances in the eye ever again. Something bad had happened back there. My fault, partly just bad luck. The kind of mess that makes you want to erase your own past and pretend you were born yesterday. I decided to start from a blank page. But a blank page is still empty, and the city doesn't care who you are or what you ruined. I rented a bed in a cheap hostel, the kind of place where the walls are thin, the light is yellow, and even the air feels temporary. 2 days in a row, I wandered through job listings, trying to find at least some kind of part-time work with daily payment. I didn't need much, just enough to eat and not freeze. It turned out to be harder than I expected. Leaflet distribution, questionable warehouses on the edge of the city, interesting offers that started to smell like slavery as soon as you read the second line. I didn't want to end up working for people who would take my passport and my spine along with it. On the third day, I saw a vacancy in one of those local groups. The description looked so absurd and suspicious that I clicked on it almost as a joke. They needed a person to sit in the center of a hall, on a chair, under a lamp. That's it. Sit in the center of the hall, on a chair for 1 hour. No talking, no contact, payment 5,000 rubles. Men and women both considered. The comments under the ad were full of jokes and beautiful people posting their photos. Models, influencers, just pretty faces. I'm not one of those. My appearance is painfully average. No special charm, no special ugliness. The exact face you forget the moment you look away. So, when they actually wrote to me in private, I was confused. Still, I called the number they gave me, expecting a catch, hidden conditions, or something I'd be ashamed to tell my future therapist about. But the voice on the other end sounded calm and almost bored. You don't have to do anything, he said. Just sit on a chair in the city of a hall for 1 hour. People will sit in the dark and look at you. No one will touch you, no one will talk to you. Wear whatever you like. You keep your clothes on. You don't have to sign anything. We pay you right after the session. I asked the obvious question. Why? Why would anyone pay for this? He gave a short, dry chuckle. I don't know. The city is full of people with unusual preferences. Some like to watch football for hours. I don't understand that either. Some like to stare at someone sitting under a lamp. Is it normal? Who knows? But it's not the strangest thing I think. I remembered all the rumors from my small hometown. In small towns, people imagine that in big cities everyone is either a manic, a pervert, or an artist. Sometimes all three at once. I decided that maybe this was some harmless, mildly kinky hobby. Maybe there was a sexual subtext. Maybe there wasn't. As long as no one touched me, I didn't care. They promised to transfer the money to my phone number after the session. It could still be a scam, of course, but at that point I had more free time than pride, and risking one evening for such a money seemed reasonable. In the appointed hour, I arrived at the address they sent. A business center not far from the city center. Not a basement, not an abandoned factory, not a garage. Already a good sign. At the entrance, they checked my passport and crossed my name off some printed list. Then they escorted me through a corridor and into a large room. The hall was dark, except for one bright circle of light in the middle. A single metal chair stood there waiting. They asked me to sit. No instructions about posing, no dramatic ceremony. Just sit, don't talk, don't use your phone. I sat down. The lamp above my head hummed softly. The rest of the hall remained swallowed by darkness. A few minutes later, the audience entered. I didn't see faces, only silhouettes, moving shapes, the faint rustle of clothes, the whisper of shoes on the floor. They took their places in the darkness with an almost religious silence. And then, nothing. Just me, the chair, and the light above. And somewhere in the darkness around me, breathing. Many people breathing, watching. At first, I tried not to look around too much. My eyes kept returning to the floor, to my shoes, to my hands. I tried to think about anything else. Groceries, weather, random memories. But eventually, I began to feel their gaze. No hostile, not friendly, just heavy. They weren't laughing. They weren't whispering loudly. There were no phones lighting up in the darkness, only stillness. And all of it focused on me. The hour passed slowly, stretching and blending like warm plastic. When the lamp finally turned off, I almost sighed with relief. Somewhere near the exit, a door opened. The audience rose and left as quietly as they had entered. Only when the hall was empty did someone come up to me and say, "That's it, you can go." By the time I reached the street, my phone buzzed. 5,000 troubles, exactly as promised. No scam, no humiliation, just strange. For the next few days, I kept searching for a real job. Nothing came together. Either the conditions were unacceptable, or the pay was laughable, or I could smell trouble a mile away. Meanwhile, my money was disappearing, so when the same number called me again, I answered almost immediately. "Would you like to repeat the session?" And this time, they offered more money. 8,000. "There is only one request," the voice said. "Please, don't check your phone while you are sitting. The spectators found it distracting." I agreed. The second time, the hall was fuller. The darkness felt denser. The whispering before the start lasted a little longer. I sat under the lamp again. I felt more confident now, although the feeling of being the center of someone's silent ritual still made my skin itch. When the hour ended, my phone buzzed again. The money arrived. No problem. They invited me again and again. Sometimes the pay changed. Sometimes the hall felt bigger or smaller. Sometimes I imagined I recognized one of the silhouettes in the dark, but I never saw a single face. Then the agent called with a new variation. "This time you won't sit. You will lie down. You will pretend to be asleep for 2 hours." I was silent for a moment. "You can bring whatever you need," he added. "Sleeping bag, mat, blanket. You can lie on the floor if you want. Wear anything, even a ridiculous costume, as long as you don't break the illusion. If you're able to actually fall asleep, that's even better." The pay for this was solid, as he put it. Very solid, someone sleeping under a lamp. I didn't sleep that night before. Then I bought a soft new pair of pajamas especially for this job, and a male sleeping pill at the pharmacy. The events this time took place in a private club. They checked my name again. The hall was smaller, the ceiling lower, the atmosphere thicker. The light above me seemed warmer, more intimate somehow. I lay down, closed my eyes, and the pill pulled me under like a quiet wave. I slept like a child. When a staff member woke me, the hall was empty again. On my phone, another transfer, even more than they had promised. That was the moment I stopped looking seriously for any other job. Why would I? I had found a way to get money for simply existing under someone else's gaze. Weeks turned into months. Sometimes I sat, sometimes I slept. Sometimes I was called twice a week, sometimes not at all for 10 days. But the money always came. Then, one day, the agent asked me to sign up for a certain payment service. Some obscure little platform, half broken, half forgotten by the internet. It's like a donation page, he explained. Our clients wanted something more permanent. The platform looked like a relic from the late 90s. No design, no features, just a couple of fields and a donate button. There was a section called Facts, where I could theoretically write about myself, but no one insisted on it, so I left it blank. A few days later, I logged in out of curiosity and almost dropped my phone. People had donated money to me, a lot of it. I had no idea who they are, or what exactly they were paying for. I hadn't streamed anything. I hadn't posted any photos or messages. I called the agent again. Is this some kind of a mistake? I asked. No mistake, he said. Some clients like to support those they enjoy watching. Think of it as a tips. Tips for what? I wanted to ask, but he already hung up. Life improved drastically. I moved out of the hateful hostel into a small studio on the southern edge of the city. I bought some furniture, a real bed, decent food, new clothes. For a while, I tried to simply accept the miracle and not think too much. Then the feeling started. At first it was small, almost invisible. A mug wasn't where I remembered leaving it. A jacket seemed to have shifted on its hanger. My shoes were torn a different way. I told myself I was just tired, distracted, forgetting things. It happens. Then I noticed smells. A trace of perfume I didn't use, a faint tobacco note I couldn't place, something like cold air from a basement drifting through the room, even with the windows closed. The donation, meanwhile, kept increasing. When I opened my donation page again, the blank facts column was no longer blank. It was filled with information about me, not just my age or hair color, but my daily routes, my favorite foods, patterns of sleep, childhood events I barely remembered, details about my family, about my health, about tests and medical results I have never personally seen. I didn't write any of this. I didn't tell anyone on this. I tried to delete the facts. The system wouldn't allow it. The fields were locked and editable. In anger, I called the agent. He listened to everything I shouted at him. He didn't interrupt. When I finally ran out of words, he said quietly, "I understand how you feel, but I can't help you. I'm just an intermediary. I don't control the platform. I don't know who exactly is watching you. I don't know what they want." I asked him how to delete the account, how to cut all ties with this madness. "I don't think it was designed for that," he replied, "and I'm not going to find out." He paused. My advice: don't anger them. As long as they are happy, they are generous, and that's all I know. After that, things got worse. I began to feel watched constantly in the bus, on the street, outside my building. Faces blurred into one another. Strangers looked too long. Some of them I started to see again and again, near my house, near the store. On different days, in different clothes, I started to return home with a light, tight knot in my chest. Inside the apartment, things shifted more noticeably now. A different angle of a chair, new footprints on the floor, the faint trace of something wet whipped off the table. At night, when I turned off the light and lay in bed, the darkness in the room seemed occupied. I didn't see anyone, but I could feel them. Shadows thickened in the corners. Voices whispered just below the edge of understanding. Sometimes it sounded like quiet laughter. Every morning, I'd find new donations on the platform. They were watching constantly from somewhere I couldn't reach, and they were paying. One night it became unbearable. The presence was so close, so tense around my bed that I almost could feel breeze on my face. My heart pounded, my palms sweated, but some suicidal curiosity inside me whispered, "Look." I snapped the lamp on. They were there. Not silhouettes now, not shadows, but fully visible. Creatures that resembled humans only in outline. Pale, hairless heads, smooth skin, almost waxy, without pores. No ears, just dark holes where ears should be. Their eyes were huge and completely black like wet stones. Their noses long and thin like a bat's snout. Their mouths stretched into impossibly wide smiles, full of long white teeth. Too big, too sharp, more like an animal's than a person's. They stood around my bed, several of them leaning in, examining me. Their fingers were long and thin, jointed strangely. As if someone had designed hands from memory and got the details wrong. They froze for a moment when I turned on the lamp. Then, as if nothing had changed, they continued whispering in a language I had never heard. Thick, clicking, almost wet sounds. One of them pointed at my chest, another nodded. They looked satisfied. I couldn't scream. My voice simply did not exist. I lay there, trapped between my own body and their gaze, until the sky behind the curtains started to pale. Just before dawn, they took out phones, slim, dark devices, almost like ours. Almost. They tapped something quickly on the screens, glanced at me one last time, and walked out of the room. The door had never opened, but they were gone. Hands shaking, I reached for my own phone. On the platform, a new donation had arrived. A sum so large, I stared at the numbers without understanding them at first. They weren't hiding anymore. They liked what they saw. From the night on, they stopped pretending not to be invisible. If I went to the bathroom in a bar, a face would peek at me from under the stall door. If I looked myself in a small room, fingers could curl over the top edge, or two black eyes would appear in the gap by the hinges. In crowded places, they wore human bodies like clothes, but their shadows, their reflections in glass and water never matched the people around them. I moved out of the studio and fled to Moscow, hoping the distance could weaken the connection. It didn't. And they were waiting for me in the new apartment the first night. Same smiles, same eyes. Tomorrow, I'll fly to Vladivostok. If they follow me there too, I don't know what will be left. I try to avoid being alone now. I try to stay in public places among people, but it doesn't help. They always find a way to be just a little closer than before. Recently, one of them touched me. A long, cold hand on my arm. The skin felt wet and sticky and wrong, like something pulled up from the bottom of a deep, dirty river. When they removed their hand, no mark remained. But the feeling stayed on my skin for hours, like a film I couldn't wash off. In despair, I called the agent again. I didn't even know what I wanted from him anymore. Advice, help, a miracle. He cut me off mid-sentence. I know they are not human, he said. I don't know who they are, and I don't want to know. My job is to keep things anonymous. I get paid for not asking questions. You are popular. That is all I can tell you. There was a strange, almost biting tone in his voice. Learn to live with it. You're a star now. Then he wished me luck in a way that sounded more like a farewell and blocked my number. I keep running from city to city, from room to room, from light to light, but the donations keep coming. The facts about me keep updating. They always know where I am, where I sleep, where I fear. They're standing closer every night. Yesterday one of them leaned so low over me that I felt the breath on my lips. Cold, heavy, hungry. I don't know what they see in me or what exactly they are waiting for, and I don't want to find out what they will do when simply watching finally stops being enough.